right. Welcome to First and Filoni. This is our fifth episode of the 2023 season. I'm your host, Donovan Filoni, joined as always with Mr. Andrew Cooper with the lips of an angel as he was making me laugh as we were getting started here. Today we're going to be talking about the SEC. We're going to talk about the AP Top 25 poll. And then we're going to go over my number 11 through 20 pick on my poll. But to start off with what's new with the SEC, nothing really new, but what's new this week is the AP Top 25 poll dropped. Georgia got 60 first place votes, Michigan got 2 first place votes, and Ohio State got 1 first place vote. I thought it would have been unanimous by now, with Georgia being number 1, but I guess not. Then just to do the top 10, we'll go top 10, and then we'll do the rest of it. Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2, Ohio State 3, Alabama 4, LSU 5, Southern California 6, Penn State 7, Florida State 8, Clemson 9, Washington 10. That's the top 10 there. I won't go ahead and list the rest of them. You guys have all seen it in front of you before, but what are your thoughts on the top 10? Is there anybody that got snubbed out of it? Who do you think should be higher or lower?
I mean, the top 10 is pretty solid, but the top 4 kind of hard to argue with that. I would have figured USC would have been a little bit higher than LSU. And honestly, I'm really surprised Tennessee dropped to 12. I would have
Well,
figured they would have stayed in the top 10.
yeah,
I know they got new. Well, that's not like they have a new quarterback. I mean, they got Joe
Joe
Milton. You know
Milton.
what I mean?
Yeah. That's the one that surprised me. I thought they would have
So
been in there, but they're high on Florida State and LSU this year. I don't think Florida State, I don't know. Florida State should be top 10. They're high on Washington this year too, but Tennessee dropped a little bit. I agree with you. I think LSU, if they would have flipped with Southern California, I would have liked it a little bit better at 5 and 6, but tomato there. But yeah, I mean, I for the first poll of the season, everybody judges them, right? This is what it is. The team that kind of surprised me out of all of them, and kind of what we talked about last week with my poll, is Iowa made the top 25 and South Carolina didn't. Um, are we really
yeah,
assuming that JJ McCarthy is the savior for the Iowa offense? I did, but like you convinced me that South Carolina should have been in there over them, I think.
yeah. See, I would have had really and truly, I would have had South Carolina at 23 and Texas A&M out.
Yeah, I can see that because Texas A&M was shit last
I'm
year.
really shocked. Yeah, I'm really shocked that Texas A&M cracked the top 25. I could see them being like a 28 to 29. I would have liked to see Tulane a little bit ahead of them, and maybe uh, I don't know. I don't just see Iowa just because of the quarterback battle there being a top 25 team. I don't know, but whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much we can really say until the season actually starts. But I mean, I think it's a good starting because we would be lost without the polls. The real polls don't really count until when is college football? October, like second week of October is when they start, I think. Um,
Yeah.
so it is what it is there. But it was good looking and just means we're 2 weeks away, man. So that was more of the reason why I wanted to put it on here is, dude, we're 2 weeks away, or we're 1 week away from week 0. 1 week, 10 days away as we're recording on Wednesday night. 10 days away from week 0. Um, pretty exciting things, and we have some decent matchups in week 0, unlike last year. Okay, so the only other thing for what's new is SEC. We have some new coaches. We'll talk about them or we'll talk about the one in the transfer section. But along with new hires, do you think there's any coaches right now that are on the hot seat in the SEC, which is arguably the best conference in football, in college football, still to this day over the last 20 20 years, give or take.
Yeah. Much as I hate to say it, I think old Pittman from Arkansas, if he doesn't turn it around this year.
I I think he's safe, man. I don't think there's really any hot seat
Do you?
coaches.
Really? See, I had him and I had Eli Drinkwitz out of Mizzou.
Yeah, but Mizzou has been actually performing pretty well for Mizzou, and then they just got the number 3 prospect from St. Louis to commit there for next year. So I can see that too. I'm not saying you're wrong. I can definitely see that. But I can't see any other school really having anybody in the hot seat. I think Billy Napier has done enough in the last 2 recruiting classes to keep Florida where they're at. And then in the transfer portal as well, I think he's done extremely well. I mean, Josh Heupel is a godsend. Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, they're not leaving. Brian Kelly, can't stand him, but he's not leaving. Mississippi State's got a new head coach. Auburn's got a new head coach. I guess the only one that I would say would be Mississippi State, Zach Arnett. But I think they like him enough that he would
See, but you can't really put him on the chop block yet because he is proceeding
right.
from Mike Leach. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I was going to say. And I think they've been extremely high on him anyways. Because of what he's done with the defense over the last year or two there. So I don't think there's any coaches on the hot seat. I would love to see Brian Kelly on the hot seat just because I don't like him, but I don't think he's going to be.
Oh, Tigers.
Did you see that Coach O put his hat in the ring for the Northwestern job? Did you see him with a bunch of nerds up in Northwestern?
Yeah, I can see him now.
That would be, oh man, you would not get me to stop laughing that episode if he gets hired there. Okay, so let's do a little bit of transfer talk here. Not really a lot to talk about in transfers outside of the quarterback position and the head coach position, but we'll talk about quarterbacks, receivers, and running backs. Let's start with head coach Hugh Freeze at Auburn. Do you think Auburn had the good hire there? Or do you think they should have gone somewhere else?
No, I like the hire only because Hugh Freeze has experience in the SEC and he knows what it takes. So I don't disagree with it. I'm not saying he should go out and hang out with strippers and do whatever
Right.
he was doing. He's a
Yeah.
Christian man now. He went to Liberty. But no, I think it was a good hire. I mean, man, he's been in the SEC. He's been around for a while. Look what he did to Liberty. He turned them around. So, like I said, Auburn might not be, you know, I got them going to a bowl game this year, but I think they're going to be playing a whole lot
Really?
better football down there. Oh, yeah, I do. Absolutely.
Interesting. I don't think
Hugh
it was.
Freeze, man.
Yeah, I don't think it was a good hire. I think I'm going to disagree with you there. I think he's a great recruiter. I think he's a decent coach, but for Auburn, the prowess, the prestige that Auburn has, I don't think it's there. Hugh Freeze has only had in the last how many 10-win seasons did Hugh Freeze have over his stint from Ole Miss and from 2012 to 2016 and then Liberty to 2019 to 2022? How many 10-win seasons did he have? That's 9 seasons. How many 10-win seasons did he have?
I want to say one, no more than two.
He had two. He had one with in 2020 and with Liberty, and then one in 2015 with Ole Miss. And outside of that, he was barely over 500. I think you can recruit.
But you got to look when he was coaching at Liberty, man. He tried to boost the non-conference schedule for Liberty. So I mean, he was playing tough teams. I mean, he's playing NC State, he was playing Carolina, he was playing the ACC, Florida State. So, I mean, he was doing whatever he was trying to do. But you really can't put a precedent on it because like you said, he's a great recruiter. But if he can get the players in there to play and buy into what he did at Liberty, SEC is by far the hardest football conference you can play in.
For
So I'm not
sure.
saying he's going to go 12-0 his first year.
Right.
But I mean, if he can average an eight, a 8 to 10 win season in the next 4 to 5 years, I think he's safe.
He needs to hit 8 wins by next season, and he needs to average 9 or above, I think, to keep that Auburn job. It's just the SEC, bud. I mean, there's no offense. I get what you're saying, and that would work great for like a Big 12 school, I think. But I think
All
we're
right.
gonna
Well,
just
just like you said, yeah, but just like you said, Eli Drinkwitz is doing what he's doing in Mizzou.
that's
I
fair.
know Auburn's a bigger football community, but if he can go in there and do better than what Haslam did or whatever the coach's name
Well,
was
yeah,
there
Harkins, yeah.
in year one, yeah, if he can go in year
Right.
one, let's say he wins 2 more games than him, then the program's obviously in a turnaround. You know what I mean? But then
Yeah,
he can go year two. You're expecting a little bit more, so if they falter, you have to look at the schedule of what they play. I mean, it's not like they're
fair.
getting 4 or 5 star recruits every day.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a fair argument, man. Like I can see both sides of it. I was just thinking, kind of playing the other side of it as well, where I just know Auburn and their success since 2012 when was it 2012 when Cam Newton was there? I think so. 2010, 2012, one of those. They just had higher expectations, and um, I think as long as he plays Alabama good, he can have a lower record as well. I think that's the caveat there too. But I mean, it's an interesting conversation to have. It was I think you're right when you're saying it was the right person to hire right away. But is he going to be the one in the long term? I have questions on that. You might have a little more faith, which is fine. Like I don't feel very strongly on it. So I think it could go either way. Let's go ahead and talk a little about transfer quarterbacks. There's 5 transfer quarterbacks that I want to talk about. Number one, and probably the best quarterback in the SEC, maybe, unless you want to say Jalen Daniels from LSU or Jaden Daniels from whatever his name is, Jay Daniels from LSU. I think Devin Leary is the best quarterback in the SEC. Goes in Kentucky. You've seen him front row and center. He's a little injury prone, but I think he's better than Will Levis. Peyton Thorne goes from Michigan State to Auburn. Graham Mertz from Wisconsin to Florida. And then Ole Miss gets both Spencer Sanders from Oklahoma State and Walker Howard from LSU, I believe is his name, along with Jackson Dart, which that quarterback room at Ole Miss is insane. Out of those 5, or if you have another one as well, who do you think is going to do the best out of those 5, or what expectations do you think each of them have?
All right, so I only had 4 quarterbacks that I was really high on. I got one tight end. Believe it or not, I do have a wide receiver and a defensive back. I know
Yeah,
we don't ain't much on one on one. I know we don't talk much about the defenses, but um, to me, man, I think Spencer Sanders. I think it's going to be his coming out party.
if he can
I think
start.
he's finally, if he can start, yes. If he wins the job and he comes out and he finally has a halfway decent defense,
Yeah, they're going to be scary.
yeah, I think that's the one that's going to be the key there. Other than that, I had Tyler Buckner. He was the key
He's number 3 on the depth chart right
position,
now.
but really, that's what I'm saying. So you don't really know what you're going to get from Nick Saban and Bama right now. Other than that, man, Devin Leary is the only one that really stands out to me. I would have Spencer Sanders over Devin Leary on the quarterback side, honestly, because Leary is injury prone, and last year before
Spencer
he
Sanders
got
got
injured,
hurt last year too, though.
I know I'm with you, but Leary did not live up to the expectations.
Yeah,
He
I
threw a
think.
lot more picks. He threw a lot more picks,
Mhm.
and not only that, you could see when the pressure was starting to come to him, he kind of
Yeah.
got a little weary where he wanted to go with the ball.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And I love Spencer Sanders. I thought he looked good last year, even playing hurt, he looked good. His receivers were just dropping everything. And the year before, where they actually had a defense, they only lost what, one game, 2 games, and they beat the brakes off of Notre Dame in the second half of the New
Yeah, I
Year's
think
Six
it's
game.
two.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm with you there. I like Walker Howard though, for next year. I think him being under Lane Kiffin for a full year to learn that offense. Watch out for Ole Miss next year. Um, for running back, we have Brian Batty from USF to Auburn, Logan Diggs from Notre Dame to LSU, Ray Davis from Vandy to Kentucky. None of those names I didn't really care about, but this name right here followed your boy Devin Leary. Demi
Oh yeah,
Sumo, I can't say his last name.
Armbay,
Carve
Armbay.
from NC State to Kentucky. I remember that name because I thought he should have played a little bit more, but when he was on the field, he was always
Yeah,
getting like double teamed, so they couldn't really do
dude.
it.
You don't know who he reminds. You know who he really reminds me of, and I'm sure Uncle Mark and Olivia probably get pissed when I say this. He's more of like a he's more of like a Naheem Hines, Jalen Samuels, and a Ricky Person and a Reggie Gillespie hybrid.
I was going to say,
He's
I
like,
kind of remind me of Gillespie, but without the prestige, man.
dude, when he played, man, it was, he
Yeah,
played tough. I mean, the injury snuck up on him a little bit. I'm excited to see what he can do. He shows a different path, which is cool. We're definitely going to miss him, an NC State running
yeah.
back room. But unfortunately, we got Jordan Houston. He's a bum. But
You guys got a couple
yeah, I'm excited
freshmen
to
all
see what
didn't
he's going
play
to do.
last year that were really good too, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah. We got Michael Allen too. Michael Allen's a beast. But I am excited to see, what he's going to do in the backfield, especially against the SEC defense, how well he makes his cuts and
Yeah.
how well, he can go through the progression with Leary. Another one on that list as a wide receiver and a tight end before we get too far out of topic was Dominic Lovett from
Yep. I
Missouri
had
to
him.
UGA.
Yeah, he was number one
Yeah.
receiver coming out of the freshman class, got to Mizzou. Now he's at Georgia
Yes, sir.
with McConkey on the other side.
Yes, sir.
Carson Beck has some weapons.
Dude. And the other one was, dude, believe it or not, I think this is going to be the sleeper as far as helping this team and helping the quarterback out. It's going to be Trey Knox, the transfer from Arkansas to South Carolina to help Spencer Rattler out.
I can see that. Spencer Rattler is an interesting one to me because when he's on his game, he reminds me of like a Kyler Murray or like an old Baker Mayfield. But when he's off his game, he looks like
Oh, dude,
Cleveland Browns
he
Johnny
can sling
Manziel.
it. Exactly, but it's like we've always talked about. You don't know what Spencer Rattler you're going to get.
Yeah, yeah. So the only other person I want to mention, because I know you said you have some defensive people, wide receiver is Zachary Franklin from UTSA to Ole Miss. I think that one's going to be sneaky good for Lane Kiffin. Kind of under the radar guy, but he was amazing at UTSA. I've seen him. It's fun to watch. Very, very fun to watch. I didn't put any defensive guys on there, but who you got on the defensive side?
So I only have one that really stood out to me who played his ass off last year on the defensive side. I got Denver Harris from Texas A&M going to
Yep.
LSU. I think it's
Okay.
really going to boost his draft stock. I mean, dude, hard
Well,
hitter, reads the ball well. He can read a quarterback well.
is he the defensive back?
Yeah.
I think he's gotten into a couple fights in training camp, and I think he's falling down the depth chart.
Is it really?
Yeah,
See, I haven't looked into it, but
I
that's
think so. But no, you're not wrong with saying it because his natural talent is there. And if he can control his hot head, that's what LSU needs because they don't have any defensive backs. All their whole defensive back room is transfers, and they're not very good transfers. He's the best one out of all of them.
no, without a doubt.
So it'd be interesting to see where he goes. This could all just be propaganda too. Fall camp we're what, 2 weeks into fall camp. You ain't gonna see who's really gonna
Oh
be playing,
yeah.
who's
Well,
not. Like
dude, I
it's
mean, you're finally getting into pads. You're finally getting into pads. You're finally trying to see who's got what. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
they
So
all
he's
teams
probably
have
got a
done
little
at
bit of
least one
chipping
or two
for him.
scrimmages right now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I like that name too. I almost put him on there, but I was listening to Josh Pate, fun podcast, shameless plug because I want one of the Chali's. Josh Pate 24/7 Late Kick with Josh Pate. It's a great college football podcast, one of the three that I listen to. He has some really good stuff. If you want just like straight college football knowledge, he's a good one to listen into as well. And he said that he's kind of had some trouble, so it would be interesting to see. We're still 3 weeks out from them, or 2 weeks out from them playing a game. Um, that first week we'll know who's if LSU or FSU is any good. So all right, to go on to the transfer teams and the top 25 for transfer teams, we had the most out of any conference. We have LSU at 2, Ole Miss at 3, Auburn at 5, Arkansas at 11, Kentucky at 14, and then Florida at 16. No Bama, no Georgia. I guess when you're recruiting 5 stars and 4 stars for your whole entire team, you don't really need it. One team that surprised me that wasn't on here was South Carolina, with all the praise that they've been getting. I'm surprised South Carolina or Tennessee didn't make the transfer team top 25. Any of those teams surprise you?
Believe it or not, Auburn.
At number 5, yeah.
Yeah, I could see them more like further down, like maybe 20 to 30.
Yeah. I mean, they had to get a whole bunch of new people. So I guess the quality and quantity as well. So, okay. Well, let's go into the tiers for record predictions as well. This one I think is very similar to like the Big Ten, where it's very few at the bottom, a whole chunk in the middle, and then 4 teams at the top. So my tier 3, my lowest tier is Vandy and Mizzou. I can't put anybody else in there. And I think Vandy and Mizzou are both going to have 5-win seasons. So like that's not even that bad. My tier 2 is Florida, Auburn, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Texas A&M. And then my tier 1 is Tennessee, Bama, LSU, Georgia. Would you switch any of those positions, keep them the same, or what are your thoughts on those?
Nah, I'm keeping all of them the same.
Yeah, I think Vandy's gonna be good this year. I really do, but we'll see. I was high hopes on Vandy last year after they beat the brakes off Hawaii, and then they didn't do anything. I have a couple teams that during my bold prediction section that we can talk a little bit about because I think you're gonna get fired up on a couple of them, like you were last week with
Well, it
my
don't take much.
Oregon.
Well, it don't take much to fire me up these days.
Well, the Oregon State one 2 weeks ago got you fired up, and my
Yeah,
Wisconsin one got you fired up too. So, um,
hate that dude.
so we got some there. I think I can see most of these teams, if not all of these teams, even making a bowl game. But we can talk a little bit about records and stuff when we're going to the conference champ conversation and bold prediction conversation. So next we'll go into Heisman hopefuls. This one I have 6 names, but I'm not.
Really?
I'm only high on 3 of them. So the three that I'm high on, and then I'll let you discuss yours, and I'll
Oh,
tell you
look
if
at
they're
y'all.
on my
Yeah, I'm
list.
with it.
The 3 that I'm high
All
on:
right.
Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia, Joe Milton,
Yeah, you son of a bitch.
quarterback from Tennessee, and then Quinshawn Jenkins or Judkins, excuse me, from the running back from Ole Miss. Those are the only 3 that I'm really high on.
All
I think those 3 have the best shot out of this conference.
right. Do you want my list, and then I can explain who I think?
Yeah. Let me hear it.
All right. So this is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have six actually. There's only
Yeah,
I
I
want
do
to say
too.
there's might be four that I'm high on. So tell me if my list matches yours. I got Jaden Daniels at LSU,
Yep,
Brock Bowers, UGA,
yep,
Joe Milton, Tennessee,
yep.
Quinshon Judkins, Ole Miss,
He's a stud, man. I really like him.
Lad McConkey, UGA.
Ooh, did not have him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
White boy got the
And
juice.
last but not least, with the leg tattoo and all, Carson Beck.
Yeah, I had Carson Beck. The only one that I had on there that you didn't was Spencer Rattler. And the
Oh no,
I
no way they're winning. They're not winning enough games.
but I just the people love him for some reason, and the only reason why it's South Carolina only loses 2 games, he's going to be in the conversation because the only way that they lose 2 games is because he's playing his butt
Oh
off.
yeah, but if I had to pick my top, man, it's tough on this. My top three, believe it or not, would probably be Jaden Daniels, Brock Bowers, and Lad McConkey. But see,
I
this
would
is
say
where it
Bowers
sneaks
out
in.
of all of them.
Oh yeah, Bowers is definitely number one, but this is where the one sneaks in on me that I think is because he has the whole team behind him, and that's going to be Carson Beck. If he goes out and has a hell of a year, how do you not take him to New York?
Right, and if Bowers is in the conversation, how can Beck not be in the conversation? And this is where we talk about
Exactly.
this is where we talk about it's a quarterback award, right? Now I can see Quinshon Judkins just demolishing records in the SEC. I can see that, but I think their schedule is too tough for him to do that with. One name that I thought about as well, and this might be a homer pick with one of the podcasts I listened to with Unnecessary Roughness with Brandon Walker, but Will Rogers, low key, is the best quarterback in the SEC, I think, and he's about to break all the SEC records
Oh, from
career
Mississippi
wise.
State.
Mississippi State, and he's about to break all
Yeah.
the career SEC records. But what he does every single year, he has 2 games where he shits the bed. He just does not perform, and so that will hold him back as well. And sadly, he doesn't have the great late great oh goodness, what's his name? The coach, Mike Leach.
Mike Leach.
He doesn't have the offensive genius Mike Leach right there to kind of help him out. But I don't see anybody in the SEC. I think honestly the Heisman's going to go down to Caleb Williams. My guess would be Caleb Williams and Drake May, but no, you don't want to hear that.
Who?
Drake May.
Uh,
All right, so let's talk
he's
about
not from a blue collar school, so nobody really cares.
yeah, let's talk about conference champs here. Still, I think this is the last season that they are doing the East versus West. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're going away from it next year. I could be wrong on that. But the East is going to be dominated by Georgia. I think Tennessee is the only one that can be a close second in the East. And then I have either Alabama or LSU coming in the West. Which I think Bama has a bounce back year. And one of my bold predictions, I'll tell you, has to do with Alabama. But I think Alabama has a fire lit underneath them. Nick Saban's not going to go out with college football playoff another berth at least. So I have Georgia versus Bama, and then I have Georgia winning it again.
All right. Well, I think for once we're finally going to butt heads on this. Until Bama gets the quarterback room situated, and I know you hate to hear it just as much as I hate to hear you go see. I had potentially Ole Miss or LSU coming out the West.
So let's go ahead into the part where we look at their schedules and break it down because I think both of those schedules are very, very, very difficult. Let's look at LSU's first. They start off with Florida State. That's a coin flip, and that should be a good game. Then they got Grambling State at Mississippi State versus Arkansas. No problems with those. Then they're at Ole Miss, which should be a good one. At Missouri, that's a win. Versus Auburn, that's a win. Versus Army, that's a win. At Tuscaloosa, Alabama on November 4th. Then being at home versus Florida back to back. Like, say what you want about Florida, but having Alabama, Florida back to back is tough. Then win versus Georgia State, and then they have Texas A&M at home. They have a couple games where I think could be a coin flip there. Am I wrong? Am I thinking of it too much?
Yeah, no, you're not thinking too far ahead, but who's to say they can't go in and win against Bama and Ole Miss?
So it's at Ole Miss and at Alabama is my concern right there, right? You see what I'm saying? Like I don't think you're wrong. I think it is going to be LSU.
So you're pretty much saying that LSU is going to either win or lose one of those games. They're going to win one, but they also are going to lose one. So who do you have them losing to?
LSU is in my bold statement, so I'm going to save it for that. Very, very wrong on those. But yes, I think it's just because they have at Ole Miss and at Alabama, I think, and then a neutral site at Florida State, I can see them losing. They're going to lose at least one of them. I can see them losing all three, and I can see them winning all three.
All right, so let me ask you this: would you have Ole Miss ahead of LSU?
Well, let's look at
Coming
Ole
in
Miss's
second?
schedule. Let's look at Ole Miss's schedule, right? They got week 1 versus Mercer. That's a win. Then they're at Tulane, which sneaky might be a good game. But they should win that one. Versus Georgia Tech, they're at Alabama as well. Then they got Alabama, LSU, Arkansas, Auburn 4 weeks in a row. Like that stretch there scares me for Ole Miss. Then they're Vanderbilt, Texas A&M. Then they're at Georgia. Then they're versus ULM, and then they're at Mississippi State. Now LSU has an easier schedule than Ole Miss,
without a doubt. But I can only see LSU if Spencer Sanders is healthy, losing one, possibly two games down that stretch.
for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to lose to Georgia. I don't want to say going.
I don't know. I think I got to say that.
Yeah. So because it's a November game versus Georgia or at Georgia. They're at Alabama. They got LSU at home, which I think leads heavily for them. But the tough game before them was with at Alabama. Like that's a tough one. It all depends on what Alabama's going to be, man, and that's what it is.
Yeah, but see, this is my thing that we've always talked about, though. To me, the West is more dominant because you don't. It was Bama, right?
Right.
Well, Bama's the fell off a little bit. All right, you got Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. He's slowly bringing them in. He's not a Dion, but he's slowly bringing in what he wants to do.
Yeah.
I know you hate to say it, Brian Kelly. The man can recruit and he can get it, but I think the coaching decisions are what screws him in big games.
Right.
Texas A&M with Jimbo, he's
Who
always
knows
liable to screw somebody. He's always liable to screw somebody's season,
Well, yeah, he beat.
regardless if they go three. Regardless, they go 3 and what 8 or 9 or whatever.
Yeah,
He's
they beat
always
Alabama last year.
subject. Then you got Hugh Freeze, exactly. Then you got Hugh Freeze at Auburn. Then you got Mississippi State,
Yeah.
who's always subject. That's what I'm saying. The West is more dominant. That's what I'm saying. Between Bama, LSU, and Ole Miss, I think it could be a toss up because you don't know what Bama's getting in the quarterback room. You don't know who's going to start. They
Yeah.
don't have a Bryce Young. They don't have an AJ McCarron. They don't have.
Well, that's why I think they're gonna go back. They got 3 5-star running backs in their running back room right now. They're gonna
What are you
pound the
saying?
ball down
Like in the
people's
Derrick
throats
Henry
this
days?
year. Yeah, they're gonna go back to the Derrick Henry days with a dominant defense because they got 5 stars all over the place on defense with Kool-Aid McKinstry in the back, which nobody's gonna throw on him. They got 3 5-star running backs that are just studs. They got Jalen Milrow, which I think he's gonna end up being the quarterback, and if he can just be 60% passer plus his legs, it's going to be hard for me to pick against Alabama. And everybody's saying Alabama's down. Last time everybody doubted Alabama, they went undefeated and won the national championship. Like that's just what I'm saying. Like I agree with you 1,000%. I think those 3 teams are going to cannibalize each other. But I'm still there that you can't doubt Alabama. And I might be wrong. I might
No,
be
you
wrong.
can't. You can. I'm with you. You can't go against Nick Saban. I'm with you because he's shown over his years of coaching. It don't matter who the hell he's got.
No, he's won the
He's
national
always going to
championship
find
with
a
Greg
way.
McElroy. He won a national championship with Jake Coker. Like he can do it with anybody.
No, I'm with you, but I'm just telling you, the West is definitely dominated
For sure.
as far as teams that can screw somebody's season up.
Yeah. No, I
And
agree.
I'm not taking away nothing away. I'm not taking anything at all away from Kentucky or Florida or South Carolina out the East. But
Right.
dude, over the years, Kirby Smart is a dog. He can
Have
recruit.
you
He
seen
gets
his
them.
offensive line recruits for the next 3 years? The smallest or
Yeah,
the smallest person, not the average, the smallest lineman weighs 325.
that's what I'm, dude. They got some
Like
big ones up front.
like the smallest offensive lineman weighs 325, not the average, the smallest, or maybe 315.
Oh,
That's
yeah, but
10
all they
pound
got to do is put
difference.
him on a meal, put him on a meal plan. They'll get where he wants to be.
Well, no, I'd rather have big offensive linemen. Give me the boys that are 340, 330. I don't care.
That's
Well,
what I'm saying. You put him on a meal plan, put him on a meal plan, a few McDoubles or something every other now
oh
and
yeah.
then.
Well, no, I mean I'm saying
He's
because
gonna
every other
boost up.
offensive line is going to be averaged at around 315, 325. Their smallest is 315.
Right, right. What I'm saying is, I like what Kirby Smart's got going on in the
Yeah,
SEC because it's totally screwing Nick Saban, and I love it.
yeah. And I think I just wish Nick Saban
I
was
think it's
about
great for college
5 years
football.
younger because I would love to see them battle it out for another 20 years.
No, that's not.
No, it's going to be Lane Kiffin's going to take over Alabama when Nick Saban's done. Guaranteed.
100%. I'm calling that right now.
Well, that's why he didn't take the Auburn job. Like 1,000%, he's going to Alabama.
Oh yeah, Saban's got like 3 or 4 more years, and he's dipping out.
Yeah. So, all right. So, who do you got in the championship game? You have Georgia on one side. Then who'd you say? LSU.
I'm scared to even flip my paper around to show the public of what I have because
Yeah.
you're
Let's.
gonna
Who
laugh.
you got? Because I think Georgia's winning the SEC again.
I got UGA versus LSU or Ole Miss in the championship.
Or who you got winning?
Oh, UGA all the way.
Yeah, Alabama's going to come and smack you in the mouth when they when they are in there.
That's fine. It's fine. They'll play in the playoffs, and UGA will get their revenge. It
Yeah.
is what it is.
No, I have Georgia winning again. I don't think they go undefeated, but I have them winning again. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about our bold predictions. Bold predictions, buddy. I have 4 of them. How many do you got?
I kind of just wing those, to be honest with you.
All right. Do you want to go first or second?
I'll go first because you went second last time.
Okay.
Bold prediction is Ole Miss squeaks into the championship game.
Okay. They just have a difficult schedule, man. I think their team's there. They have 3 quarterbacks that can play. I like that. I do. I worry that their schedule is too difficult. But like you just said, the East or the West can cannibalize themselves, right?
Yep.
So I can see that. Okay, so my first one is Bama leads the entire country in rushing yards. And just like what I spoke to before with
Man, you
Milrow,
got a quarterback.
Milrow running the ball, those 3 5-star running backs in the backfield. I think that's my least spicy one. We're going from least to most spicy, buddy. So that's my least spicy one. What you got for number 2?
Lad McConkey wins the Heisman.
On a 1 to 10 scale, that's about a 37 on the boldness scale.
Hey, it's a boldness.
He had a very, very good end of the season championship game. I'll give him that. Don't you think the Lovett kid's going to take some passes from him, though?
Nah, they're not going away from Lad. No way. He's proven himself.
All right. All right. This one also has to do with Georgia. Georgia loses at Rocky Top, just like Alabama lost to them last year.
See, now we're really starting to get into it.
Yep, that was the second least spicy one, buddy. It gets worse.
So, notable games. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Dude, I have like 8 bold predictions.
I only got 4.
I think September 30th, Tennessee versus South Carolina. Heupel gets his revenge from last year.
It's at Neyland too, isn't it?
Yes.
They're going to win by 40. They're going to win by 40. We're going to see Nico come in the second half and play.
No, from what I've been hearing in camp, he's gotten better, but he's not where he should be. So Milton's pretty much got that locked up.
Well, yeah, no, I mean Milton's a starter for sure. I love Nico though. I've seen some of his tape. Maybe he's struggling in camp. I don't know, but his high school tape, that kid is good.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to watch him next year.
Yeah. Okay.
Charlotte, right. We going or what? That's a bold prediction.
It's possible, man. Okay. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to LSU or you want to go to Florida?
Surprising.
All right, we're gonna go LSU. LSU loses 4 games this season. They lose to Alabama, they lose to Florida State or Florida, they lose to Texas A&M, and they lose to Ole Miss. I just gave you 5 teams. They're gonna lose to 4 of them.
Wow. I can see it.
I think they're overhyped, man. I'm not sold on them. Their secondary, I don't think got better. I don't think I don't have faith in Jaden Daniels. I think they squeaked out some lucky wins last year, and I think they're overhyped.
All right. So I got another one. September 30th, Auburn versus Ole Miss. Hugh Freeze shocks the world and beats Lane Kiffin.
But didn't you just say Ole Miss was gonna be? Come on.
Hold on. That's only one loss, bro.
Okay.
Only one loss. Chill out.
All right, that's interesting. Okay. I can go with my last one here. I was going to put Tennessee only losing 1 game this season, and that would be at Alabama, but I don't feel like that's a very bold statement. So we're going to go down to Gainesville here, and I'm pulling up their schedule because I know you're not going to like this one. So hold on 1 second. I think, and maybe it's because they just came out with their all black uniforms. Maybe it's because I'm going to be, going there, and my fiance graduated from Florida, but I have Florida going 8-4 this season. Beating.
Who do you got them upsetting?
All right, let's go through the schedule. At Utah, win. At McNeese, win. Loss versus Tennessee. Win versus Charlotte. Win at Kentucky. Oh, no, loss at Kentucky, excuse me. Win at Vandy. Win at South Carolina. Loss versus Georgia. Win versus Arkansas. Win versus Mizzou. Loss versus LSU. Loss versus Florida State. And then they either beat Florida State, LSU, or Tennessee. They beat one of those 3. So they win Utah, McNeese, Charlotte, Vandy, South Carolina, Arkansas, and Mizzou. So that's 7. And then they either beat Florida State, LSU, or Tennessee.
I have 2 more.
All right, bring them to me. I'm surprised you didn't go off on that because that one is very, very unlikely.
I have 2 more, and this is a long shot. Devin Leary gets into the Heisman conversation.
If Kentucky has any kind of success, it's going to be because of him.
Yeah, exactly. That and Demi Sumo if he stays healthy, right?
Right.
My final one. If Alabama does not go to the national championship this year, next year is Nick Saban's last year.
Yeah. I mean, he's in his 70s now, isn't he?
Yep.
And he just bought a oceanfront house down in Pensacola. Or somewhere down there.
That's my final bold prediction.
If
If Bama is not in championship contender this year for the playoffs, he hangs it up.
Okay, so I just want to play a hypothetical there as well. And Nick Saban, we can both say greatest college.
If he wins it, does he retire? Go out on top? If he wins it, does he go out on top? Stay on done?
For sure. He's done. He's done if he wins it. Yeah. I agree with that. So hypothetical here. We both agree that Nick Saban's greatest college football coach of all time. Like, I don't think there's any doubting that anymore.
Yep.
If he does leave in the next year or two, and hypothetically, we both think that it's going to be, and a lot of people think that it's going to be Lane Kiffin. How long does Lane Kiffin take before he gets back to that level? Because we're going to assume that he's going to lose a couple of recruits with Nick Saban leaving. A couple of recruits.
I don't. I don't. I think they're playing for the brand, and they're playing because it's Alabama, and I think Saban's going to take a bunch of recruits from him from Ole Miss to Bama when he does take that job.
That's just my biggest concern. I think he's the right coach for him because I don't think Kirby Smart's going to leave Georgia with what he's built there. And there's no other name out there that I would put at Alabama. Maybe Dion if he waits 5 more years, but I don't think Saban's waiting 5 more years.
No.
Or Dabo, maybe Dabo. But
dude, no way.
He was talked about it, man. They're gonna throw the bag at somebody.
I mean, he very well could. They could offer him the money and he'll take it, but I don't see Dabo lasting no more than 5 years.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so to wind down the episode, we're gonna go in with best uniforms here. My best uniforms, I have 3 categories, right? I have the University of Florida's and LSU's kind of grouped into one because they're the classic, the white LSU jerseys. I love those, very classic, and then the white Florida with the blue pants. I think those are very classic ones. But the one that I really liked last year was the Tennessee All Blacks that they wore on Halloween. Those things looked slick. And then Texas A&M all whites just because of the Johnny Manziel doc. When I saw him wearing those things look clean as can be. But I think the Tennessee All Blacks might have been one of my favorite uniforms of all time.
See, I got 5 that I actually like.
Yeah. This one was
tough. South Carolina is being the least.
Yeah. I like South Carolina's.
I love the garnet and white. Yeah. I mean, they're old school, but they're classic.
Yeah.
I got UGA's.
Yeah, I think Georgia. I consider them with Ohio State. Georgia.
Yeah.
So
because you always know what you're going to get. So
yeah.
And see, this was a toss-up for me at the 2 and 3 spot. I got Tennessee coming in at 3. Love the old black, all the All Blacks, but I really do like that orange.
The all orange. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, that's sick. Two, I got Florida, especially with the All Blacks.
Yeah,
I
those
do
things
like
looks pretty
those.
sweet, dude. The all blacks look
Yeah,
pretty sweet.
yeah.
First time
And
ever
believe
that
it or not,
Florida's ever had the all blacks, too. First time ever.
yeah, dude, that's pretty. Yeah. Number one, I got Ole Miss, man. They always come up with a cool ass
Yeah.
color scheme every
The
year.
powder
Like, dude,
blues.
they got the powder blues. Oh my
Yeah.
God, powder blues. They got what the Bill Jordan
Yeah.
camo on the helmets last year. That was pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm all about Ole Miss. To me has the best uniform combo in the SEC for me.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna go all around combo, I think I have to go Tennessee. Um or Florida. Those, do you remember back, it was probably 10 years ago now, the gator skin ones? Everybody trashed them, but I actually love those ones.
See, I didn't. I wasn't a big fan of those.
Okay, all right. So here's the end of the show here. We're gonna do one thing. We're gonna go over my poll. Remember last week we went 21 through 25, and I had Wisconsin at 21, 22 Iowa, 23 Texas Tech, 24 Texas A&M, and then 25 Tulane. Tonight we're gonna go number 11 through 20. Um, so let me know whenever you're ready, Andrew, and I'll go ahead and I'll start at number 20.
All right, let me get a pen.
All right. Remember last week, guys, while he's getting the pen, he was fired up with my Iowa pick, very controversial because I didn't have South Carolina on there. Um, which I think we agreed that I think those two are interchangeable. But I lean towards Iowa just because I have more faith in JJ McCarthy versus Spencer Rattler at this point because of the defense of Iowa. Okay, so number 20, I have the Oregon State Beavers. Number 19, I have Ole Miss. Number 18, I have Oklahoma. Number 17, I have Texas Christian University, TCU. Number 16, I have Utah. Number 15, I have Kansas State. 14, I have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Number 13, I have Washington Huskies. Number 12, I have the Oregon Ducks. And then number 11, Hook'em Horns, Texas Longhorns.
Hmm.
Less controversial, I think, right?
I think you could drop Utah out of that.
Out of all
No,
of them.
I'm sorry, not Utah. TCU. I think you could drop them back a little bit.
So Morris, the quarterback now, was supposed to be the starter last year until Max Duggan decided to play out of his mind. That's the only reason why I have them up there. And the only, like, this isn't like by the end of the year, these are what these things are going to be, like the places they're going to be. But like, this is what I have going into the preseason. We can't really ignore what they did last year. But I agree. I think they should be lower, but I can't have Oklahoma. The only team that can have above them would be Ole Miss, maybe.
Yeah, I can see Ole Miss above them a hell of a lot.
So, okay, so we have Texas. Just for the folks at home, one more time, we're gonna go 11 through 25. So number 11 is Texas, 12 Oregon, 13 Washington, 14 Notre Dame, 15 Kansas State, 16 Utah, 17 TCU, 18 Oklahoma, 19 Ole Miss, 20 Oregon State, 21 Wisconsin, 22 Iowa, 23 Texas Tech, 24 Texas A&M, and 25 Tulane. Now, I am no expert, and this is just my poll, and everybody can make fun of them. So feel free to. And, next week we'll go number 1 through 10. Along with next week, we have week 0 picks. There's 6 games, I think it is. We're also going to give our top 6 teams by the end of the year, meaning the 4 that'll make the playoffs and then the 2 that are the first 2 outs. Andrew and I will both give our playoff predictions there, as well as game picks, and then our top 3 Heisman candidates as well for each person. Thank you again, guys, for listening to our SEC preview. Stay tuned all year. We're going to get into picks next week. We got less than 10 days now to start a college football season with week 0 coming up. As always, I'm Donovan Floney, joined with Andrew Cooper, and we'll see you next week.